Welcome back, VA users. In today's session, we are going to see what's basically the difference between a window and a form. Okay. So into the VA system, there are various menu components, that is windows, forms, reports, processes. So we'll discuss in today's video about the difference between windows and the forms. Now, what's basically a window? So window in the VA system always associated with a table. The windows into the VA system can contain the tabs and the fields. The save data onto the windows always remain on that window. So whenever you will open that particular window, your save data will be pulled up by the system. There are three types of windows available into the VA system. The first type is basically the maintain. So the maintain windows are those windows which contains the master data like customer master, vendor master, employee master, product categories. So all these comes under the maintain type of windows. While the second type of windows are known as the transaction windows, where the business transaction happens. Now this transaction is nothing. These transactions are nothing, but these transactions are sales order, purchase order, delivery orders, the payments, the bank statement, the GL journal entries. So all these entries comes under the transaction windows. While there is a third type is basically the query only window, where with the query only window there is no table is binded. Instead, these windows gets generated against the view. So view might contains n number of table associated with them using the inner join, outer join, the left join. So all these joins, using all these joins, you would be able to prepare a view at the background into the database, and you would be able to generate using these views a window into the system. So business partner info window, the sales representative info windows are the examples of query only windows. On these windows, you cannot generate a master entry, or you won't be able to do a transactional entries. So these are the query only windows. These are always system maintained. Whenever a view gets refreshed by the database, the data gets refreshed at the level of the window. So these are the three types of window available into the VA system. While on to the other hand, forms are not always associated with the table. They doesn't contain any data. The forms are the hard coded at the code and pulls the data based on a predefined logic. Okay. So once the form is closed, it means everything gets closed. The form used to generate the records from the various tables to a certain window or a table. The example is pretty simple. Let's suppose I just want to create a sales order or a purchase order using the BOM components. Then I would be able to generate a form in between. I can access the particular BOM, and thereafter I can select my record and would be able to generate either a sales order or a purchase order. So these are basically the work of the forms that used to be done. However, all these work can be done using a process, because into the process as well you need to define a certain logic first, and thereafter you would be able to generate the records. So this is basically the windows and the forms. Now let's move on to the VA system, and we'll see how we can identify into the menu which one belongs to form, which one is a window, and what are all those three windows. Let's move on to the VA system, and we'll see what are forms and the windows and what basically the difference between both of them. So let me log in with the ABC admin, and we'll say login. Now, if I will access the menu, you would be able to see various icons here, right? So you would be able to see a business partner contain a certain icon, the customer master contain a certain icon. Similarly, you would be able to see there is a cogwheel that represents a process. This represents the form. So if you want to filter it out accordingly, you would be able to do so. So let's say, what are all the windows into this menu? So these are all the windows available in this menu. If you want to see what are all the forms available in this menu, so these are basically the forms available in this menu. If you want to see which one is the process, then you would be able to see the process, and which one is representing the report, then you would be able to filter out the report. So presently there is no report in this section. However, there would be certain reports in this section. So let me make a filter here. So as you can see, each and every window, form and process has a different icon. So that is one of the way out by which you would be able to identify which one is a process, which one is a window, and which one is a form. So these are basically the windows, these are the forms, these are the reports, and these are the processes into the VA system. Now by this we would be able to identify, as I have mentioned, that window are having three different types. So one of the time I just want to showcase you is the customer master. So this customer master is a maintain type because this contains all the master entries of the customer. So we used to maintain all the masters at the level of the customer master, hence this is the type of the window called maintain. Now if I want to see a transaction type of window, then you would be able to say customer invoice. I just open this. So this window is a transactional window, and hence this window is known as a transactional window into the VA system. Now the third of the type is basically a query only window. So when I will say query only windows, then you would be able to access representative info, and this representative info is a query only window. Would be able to see it is not allow you to enter any new record, or you would not be able to delete anything from this particular query only window. So this is basically the query only windows. Now let's move on to the form. What's basically the form? So if I will say contact center, so contact center is nothing but it is a form into the system. So you would be able to see here it says the form is busy, and thereafter the form will be loaded by the system. So that is basically the form. So sometimes a certain form takes a little time. So presently it is not opening properly. So there might be a certain problem at the background, or there might be the logics minded in this particular form having this particular form contains a huge logic background to run. Okay, so there might be a possibility of that. Since I have upgraded my link from 4x version to the 5x version, so there might be a possibility that because of that it is not opening it out. So that is basically the form. So you would be able to open the form using this. So that is how you would be able to identify what's basically the form, what's basically the windows, the three type of windows, that is basically the maintain, transaction, and the query only. However, onto the other side there are certain forms that is not belongs to a certain table. These are hard coded and having a predefined logic and utilized to generate the records, transactional records, using the data from the various tables and to generate the data in a single table. So that is what's basically the difference between windows and the forms. In this video, that's all. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.